So how y'all doing? My name is Trevis Perry. I'm the owner of Catharticswag. I'm here to answer some questions with the sounds of the future.
Is that 508?
Yeah. Nah, I'm back in this shit. I'm just back in this shit. I'm back in this shit. I'm just back in this shit. Whoa. Nah, I'm back in this shit. I'm back in this shit. I'm back in this shit. Yeah.
Honestly, I'm from the Bronx. I've been a Bronx native my whole life. I had moved away for educational purposes. Then I came back to the Bronx full circle moment. I go to St. John's University, and I also have a clothing brand, and I started back in high school. And from then on, I didn't really want to call it a clothing brand because I felt like that didn't really service my community as much as it was like me making clothes, but I wanted it to be deeper than clothes. Rather than clothes, but more of a feeling of who you are and expressing your true authenticity. And I feel like nowadays people are repressing who they are due to this technological improvements, all this modern day era of, let's say, social media or, Tik Tok to be more specific. Or you can even say Instagram is whatever your niche tends to, but I feel like if you get caught up in the commotion, you kind of lose the expression of who you really are in the midst of what people want you to be. And here at Catharticswag, we represent your true authenticity. But honestly, Catharticswag really meant for me was, let's say, therapy. Honestly, I feel like at the end of the day, clothes could look nice. We could all buy these brands and you could all say these things, but like, what does it truly mean? And I feel like I wanted to break that barrier of like, why can't it mean something? Like, why does it have to just have a cool name? Like, why can't the name be cool and mean something? Because being cool is opinion. Like, it's not necessarily a fact. And I wanted my people to understand that it's not just clothes. Like, when you put these clothes on, you're gonna feel like, a different person. Not necessarily, it's not you, but it's the you that you kept repressing this whole time. And, you might not know it yet, but when you do know it, then that's what you really feel who you are. Honestly, I don't feel like it's too far gone. I feel like at the end of the day, whatever doesn't break you makes you stronger. So regardless of the fact, we're gonna keep going in time. We're gonna keep evolving and evolution, and social media is just gonna keep getting more relevant and relevant and relevant. At the end of the day, I feel like if we're recognizing the patterns of it repressing who we are, why not flip how we use social media? At the end of the day, social media is just a construct of what we made, so to say. What we make of it is what we pay attention to it and how we use it in a day-to-day basis. And if we were using it to express ourselves rather than to express who people want us to be, it would be a lot more, I should say, true people out there showing who they are. I feel like at the end of the day, we're not showing who we are. And that's where my message to be. And clothing is just a mere way of me spreading this message. It's not necessarily the highlight or the peak of, what Catharticswag is. Catharticswag is just a message for the people, and clothing is just a way for you to resent with it much more rather than just me saying it out loud. Yes, of course, I feel like music is just a canvas, so to speak. Like, I feel like at the end of the day, music is always opinionated. It is an art. There's no true or wrong answer when it comes to music. So when it came to my expression, I feel like expression is the imperfection of perfection, or wabi-sabi, not to get caught up here, but it honestly depends on how you feel. And when I make music, I express how I feel, so to speak. And, sometimes I might get very formal, technical, and really try to spread a message. But at the end of the day, I love making music. And I feel like it's just a raw way of me exploring my expression. And I have the ability to control what goes into my subconscious, as music is, I'll say subtly programming. Like, it might not be so apparent, but, it's the tiny details of what goes into a song. Well, honestly, I get it from the world I live in. I feel like I'm a man of experience. I feel like everything I've learned throughout the years on a core understanding has been something that happened to me in the past, so to speak. Like, for me to understand it, I had to have lived through it. And growing in the Bronx, compared to being, states away, because I had moved to Connecticut for a point of my life. And not to say it was the worst thing in the world, but it was definitely a culture shock. It was a different environment. And growing up in the Bronx, I feel like you're a lot more proactive, at least where I'm at. Like, there's public transportation. Like, where you had to only drive. And when you only drive, you kind of, limited to this mobile transport, because if you have no car, if you have no money for the car, you can't really go nowhere. But the trains, the buses, all you need is like $2 to do the fare. And a lot of people just hop the train. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? So I feel like in New York, it's just much more of a, you could call it hustler mentality, not to, you know, subject it around money. At the end of the day, we all need money. But, you know, I feel like it was much more independent, and much more going to get it. Like, we're go-getters, I feel like, in New York. So that's how I feel like it tied into my creativity. Honestly, at the end of the day, we all need money. I'm not gonna knock your hustle. I'm not gonna sit here and say sometimes we don't do things for money. But at the end of the day, what I'm doing with my clothing brand is not to feed myself, it's not to pay my rent, it's not something I need to survive off of. This is merely a way for me to spread my message. At the end of the day, I'm not putting some crazy price tag on it to get this popularity, to get this hype maybe, or to even be called as a designer. This is nothing. I don't even want to be called a clothing brand. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I always have, let's say, resent when I say something like that, because I feel like it puts me in a box. This is a community. This is, you could call it an organization of creative minds that come together to represent who they are in this world of repression. And when it comes from my ideas, and necessarily not to say my, you know, as you said, not really the higher calling, but like, as I feel my purpose is to legend my life, to really show people like my cyclical dignity, to represent who you are as a person, and not necessarily just what you say, but what you show. You know, it's a difference between just saying it, but like when you actually do it, you actually put on for the people you're around, you know, I feel like it's a different feeling. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, cool, money is nice, but I'm not really doing it for the money. Not to say I never been down bad, broke, or damn, like, you know, I never was like, I was hungry, but like, you know, my parents always held it down. I would be honest, like, I never came from like the crazy trench, so maybe my story is not the same as whoever story came from it, whoever at the end of the day, we're all different. I was born into the world I was born in, and I can't really control it. And thank God that my family is fortunate to provide me a stable home and a stable, you know, food day to day, and I was always good. So this brand, I did it all by myself. You know, this is something I really wanted to show people. And at the end of the day, like I said, this is not just a clothing brand, this is a mere way to spread my message. As these words are not gonna resonate you as much as they would if you're literally wearing the words. You know what I'm trying to say? Well, honestly, my music career and my clothing brand, I feel like are hand in hand. I feel like they're always coexist. So whatever happens to my clothing brand, I feel like whatever happens to my music career. And in the next 5 years, I feel like I'll be able to live off my passion. Live off, you know, me just breathing, me just making clothes and me just making music. You know, at the end of the day, we all have to start from somewhere. In the next 5 years, I feel like if I consistently keep going on the way I'm going, then I'll be able to show the world, like, you could live off who you are. You don't need to press yourself to work at these regular jobs and, you know, live paycheck to paycheck just to satisfy the next person's opinion, you know? Like, we're not doing that over here, and I'm gonna show that. Honestly, yes, of course. I feel like my parents been working my whole life. My dad done retired and got a whole new job, bro. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? My mom's still working. And, you know, my grandma not working right now because, you know, my parents or my people who are related to her were in the position, you know, help retire her. But, like, I feel like I don't want any of my family working. And not to say I have anything against working. I got 2 jobs right now. I just came off an overnight shift a few hours ago. So at the end of the day, I feel like you need money to make money. And if you really want to establish yourself, if you really want to build yourself, you gotta start from somewhere. And, you know, making clothes is a passion, but it's not my hustle. And this is not something I'm doing just to get my little quick 80, you know, quick little 85 on the snot. This is something I really want people to resonate with. Like, if you buy my clothes, I want to know you. I want to know who you are. I want to know how you express yourself. This is not just something I want you to just post up in the gram. Oh, I got my new Catharticswag. No, this is like, I see you posting in it and you doing something that's expressing yourself, no matter if it's art, doing hair, nails, music, as I love doing music, you know, it's a whole world of things. It's just how you do it, not necessarily what you do. Honestly, upcoming, I have the sweatsuit. So I had dropped this sweater right now, back at my high school. I had sold out. That summer I had dropped it. So I had restocked with the sweatpants because I never had the sweatpants for the sweatsuit. And I got the gray version of the sweatsuit as well. So, like, the stitching is still white, of course, because I, you know, like, the white stitching is like the, I guess you could say, the expression of the soul. Like, it ties all components together. So the gray is still on the black, and then the black is still on the white. And then, yeah, that's what's coming out soon. Honestly, any advice, I just say keep going. You know, you might be going in the wrong direction, but one day you probably realize you're going in the wrong direction. It takes for you to understand, you know. At the end of the day, you know, a lot of people say, if you don't learn from the next person, you're a fool, or, you know, you're dumb if you don't do it how they did it. But at the end of the day, people could, not necessarily, let's tie it to fame. People could blow up for anything if you want to give it to that trajectory. And if you want to keep down, if you want to keep going, and not just say fame is the, you know, ultimatum of who you are and what I want to be, but necessarily say like you have the influence to really show your audience, you have the outreach, you have the stretch of marketing, you know, and so forth. And I feel like at the end of the day, why not have people know you for who you are rather than putting on this persona for this world of people who really don't know you. You know what I'm trying to say? Not to say everybody's parasocial, but I feel like we live in a very parasocial era. And if you're gonna have people, let's say, think they know you, why not think they know who they're actually knowing? Because then when it comes to, I feel like for me personally, when it comes to meet and greets, or let's say like, you know, me meeting these people in person, they're like, okay, this is just literally this guy. I'm not this different persona. I'm not, you know, switching personalities. So yeah, that's why I feel like that would be my main advice if I was, you know, coming up in this, like, imagine if I started in middle school.
Back in the field, back like I never left, ready to spill. Only got one shot, I go for the kill. Could've went platinum with thoughts of the drill, but I found a better way without a deal.